viewers, welcome you all to the 54th edition of the Mysore Sport YouTube channel. Today's subject is on strength and conditioning to professional athletes. We have here with us Sri Abhijith Ravindra, a qualified strength and conditioning coach from Mysore, who has been catering to the needs of professional athletes in Mysore. He is a qualified strength and conditioning coach who has done his BPEd, MPEd in DOSPES, University of Mysore. On behalf of the Mysore Sport YouTube channel, I welcome him for our interview. Welcome, Abhijith.
Thank you, sir. Namaste to all the viewers and to you, sir. It's a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you for having me on your YouTube channel, Mysore Sport.
Hi, Abhijith. You are a professional strength and conditioning coach. You have been catering to the needs of Mysore's professional sportsmen. Why do you think strength and conditioning is necessary for professional sportsmen?
So, for a professional athlete, there are always two components. As you know, the skills is one component, the game specific skills, and then there are some unique demands of the sports which are on the athlete's body. Now we call this motor abilities, and it differs from sport to sport. Now strength and conditioning will make sure that the athlete is physically prepared and he peaks at the right time of the competition. And when an athlete competes, what happens is he or she depletes all the built up strength, and it is perishable. So when he finishes a tournament and he comes back, again the strength and conditioning comes into the picture to prepare him for the next tournament or the event that he is or she is planning for. So basically, I would say it has many benefits. One main thing would be physical preparedness and helping the athlete to peak at the right time, and basically you can say that it also reduces the risk of injuries which are specific to that sport that they play.
So now, what do you say about strength and conditioning? Strength is different, conditioning is different. So how do you define that?
Rightly, sir. So when you talk about strength, we have very technical aspects of it, calling it as like a maximum strength, endurance, and things like explosive strength. These are different dimensions of strength. So when you talk about conditioning, it's mostly to do with when you say a generic term like fitness, you're talking about someone's say cardiorespiratory ability. It could be of two types. One is aerobic and anaerobic. Like if you see a game like cricket today, they'll have to play all day. The batsmen have to run between the wickets, and there is a peculiar requirement of strength and conditioning in this game. But then there are games where, for example, if it's a very strength dominant sport like weightlifting, then the conditioning part will be, I cannot say it will take a back seat, but it will not be so dominant. So strength and conditioning will in the end be required depending on the game that the athlete participates in. And I would say that if you look at strength as a set of tools and conditioning as a set of tools, the exercises that we are using are nothing but tools, and we use the correct tool at the right time to get the required outcome from the athlete.
How do you identify with a professional player his plus and minuses, and how do you over a period of time, how you watch his progress and increase his ability to retain high fitness?
Very good question, sir. So basically, strength and conditioning component can be effectively performed like it's like a big project. So how you use project management tools or softwares, there is a system called periodization, which is a very scientific planning of the athlete's outcome. So for example, now if I am training a cricketer, I would understand how long the game is played, what are the unique demands of the game. Like for example, there is a lot of agility required, running required, and throwing required. And if you take athletes like track and field athletes, every event is different. The short distance running is very different from middle distance running, which is again very different from long distance running. And if you combine, I mean, if you take into account other events like the field events, the throws and jumps, there the training approach would be completely very different. So in the end, the strength and conditioning specialist, what they would do is they would know when the competition is, the competition calendar, and they plan backward. The ultimate goal is to get the athlete in the peak, to get the peak performance in and around the competition. Not, you know, if you go wrong in that periodization, the athlete will peak very early or he could peak very late. And that doesn't coincide with the competition means, I mean, you could, after the pandemic, the Tokyo happened, and you could see there were a lot of upsets because the periodization cycles went wrong.
Correct.
So that's just an example of
got delayed by a year.
Correct. So now you're asking me, how do you assess the weaknesses of an athlete? So strength and conditioning has specific protocols to, we call tests, to measure motor abilities, right from, it could be the VO2 max, or it could be the maximum strength, or it could be agility. Everything can be quantified. I would say even to the extent of highest accuracy. Today's sciences give us the tools to evaluate every component, and we put that results against, or match it against a norms table. For example, now a good athleticism means that someone's vertical jump, we talk about the vertical jump, or ability to back squat, do a back squat,
stretching,
because flexibility, correct, flexibility. So there are certain benchmarks for every attribute. Now, if you talk about an athlete, there is a specific exercise called as the power clean, which demonstrates the quickness, the ability to express the quick strength of an athlete. So the power clean, if the athlete is able to do 1.25 times their own body weight, then we say that the athlete is powerful. So there are very specific parameters which we measure against at least present level of fitness, and knowing the deficits, we specifically address those deficits and train them.
That depends on each individual, because each individual differs, and how much load you can give to an individual, it differs.
Exactly, sir. Correct. So here, when you talk about individual, we consider the age of the athlete. When I say age, I'm not talking about their chronological age. The very important thing is the training age itself. How much of a background of exercise background does the athlete have? What is their exercise technique proficiency? Correct? If I have to prescribe an exercise, I just can't do that. It's like not like giving a medicine. It's not, he has to learn the technique. Yes. So the training age comes in wherein how well had he acquired
response,
all the
correctness, all these
coordination in childhood. So an athlete who has probably played a lot of athletics, a lot of free-handed sport, and who has not done any kind of early specialization will have a very, is more desirable to train. Of course, it makes our job easy, but then our job is not to make our job easy. I mean, we have to do with what we get. So if there's an athlete coming in with a lot of asymmetries in the strength or muscular imbalances, we have to address to that. If it's a female athlete, there are peculiar concerns with that. There are a lot of special considerations with children, because pre-adolescent, there's a lot of myth, for example, that children should not do resistance training, but that's a mistake that many
people make. Because the bones are not...
But no evidence suggests that children shouldn't do strength training. In fact, children should be doing strength training, and I advocate this as early as from 6 years onwards. So resistance training will give you all the right kind of development bodily, which will prepare the athlete. This kind of a general preparation, and then there are specific preparations which comes at a later point of time.
Tell us about yourself, where you are a Mysorean, you studied in University of Mysore, yes, doing your BPEd and MPEd. Yes. Tell us about yourself.
So I've been into sport, multi-sport from all my life. I've been running around, playing cricket, martial arts, all my childhood, done every other thing, combat sports, cricket, I played a little bit of badminton as well. But then I kind of always been the outdoor person. I mean, I even recently I ran the KTM 21 kilometer race organized by NAB Sports in Srirangpatna. So I'm a runner myself actually. I run long distances, and I also do a lot of, I love long distance running. So I in the long run, I want to be a good long distance runner. So that's something that I'm working at myself. So coming back to my background, so I love sport. I love to teach, and I believe that I have a very passion of keeping abreast with the developments and the recent research findings in sports sciences and things like that. So I still remember the very first job actually I did was with a school as a physical education teacher. But then back in the day, because of my NCC background, I went and joined, but I didn't have BPED background. I kind of fell in love with it, and then I decided to do BPED. And then, because physical education gives you the strong foundation for, that's a multi-sport, and anybody who knows what physical education is, it's an integral part of regular education. And through sport, we bring about all the desired changes in the children, like in the youth. So now I fell in love with sport, and that led to physical education, and I did my physical education. Then, because it's a teacher qualification, I kind of learned a lot and about so many sports that I had not played, like hockey. I had not played a lot of Kho-Kho or indigenous contact game like Kabaddi and all. And I discovered a whole world of sport, and I was immersed in it. And swimming, and you name it, aquatics, yoga. I mean, physical education, we do everything. And then because of the love of teaching, love of sport got me into physical education. Then I actually opened my own training facility, and I was running my own strength and conditioning facility. Unfortunately, I had to close it due to COVID, but then I switched over to something more, because I was working always with the general population and with athletes, and my dream was always to work with athletes. So I kind of slowly started with something very generic and switched over to something more specialist type. And then finally I found out about the NSCA, the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So they provide the gold standard.
Seen in the country over the last decade. All the Olympic disciplines are improving, and we are performing, the sportsmen are performing due to good programs by the government of India with like Khelo India programs from
TOPS.
And helping them with the TOPS
yes,
scheme, preparing them for the Olympics,
yes,
and like these. So how do you think these talents who want to go to the next level have a backup of these support? Strength and conditioning support is very much necessary for each and every professional to go ahead.
Absolutely.
So each center in each city must be having scientific centers, yes, which coordinate and bring them up to that level.
Exactly.
So you need strength and conditioning coaches,
yes,
you need centers, you need all these to go hand in hand, yes, to bring upliftment of the sport, so exactly, that in the nook and corner of the country there are talent.
Yes, sir, exactly.
So that will help.
Yes, sir. So you really are speaking about some really interesting things here. So if you talk about the last decade, you can see with the rise of the Indian sport as a global, we are rising as a global sporting power. Thanks to private players like JSW, and thanks to Government of India schemes like the TOP scheme. Now the thing is, what I feel is, if you think about the grassroots level, all athletes have to start somewhere, right? It could be tier 2 cities or rural areas or somewhere, they have to start somewhere. So even today I feel there's a lot more potential for government to do like talent identification selection, not just of athletes. Like you said, creating ecosystems for athletes to grow. Now for example, strength and conditioning coaches, like for example, it's my occupation. So if I'm a professional strength and conditioning specialist, this is what puts food on the table for me. And I'm afraid these things can be expensive for an athlete. So there could be somebody who's really skilled, but who could not afford to take SNC lessons, and he or she may not get that edge to go ahead in sport. So there should be a level playing field where everybody is accessible to these kind of strength and conditioning, high level of nutrition, physiotherapy, the psychological aspect, there's mental coaching, and in fact skill coaching itself is very expensive.
Many youngsters come and train with you and utilize your services in the days to come. Thanks for coming to our show.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.